This is Nightly Business Report with Tyler Matheson and Sue Herrera.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special Memorial Day edition of Nightly Business Report. I'm Sue Herrera.
And I'm Tyler Matheson. Welcome. Well, Memorial Day, the day we honor the men and women who have served this country. It's also, of course, the unofficial start to summer. The time when you plan that getaway, secure that summer job, enjoy a movie, maybe have a barbecue. Whatever your plans are, you can bet on spending some money. And tonight we take a look at some of the things that could impact the economy and your summer budget.
But we begin with the markets. With stocks sitting at or near all-time highs, it's a good time to examine the factors that could fuel or derail the rally. Dominic Chu takes a look at whether the bears or the bulls will be in control on Wall Street over the next few months.
It's that time of year again when we dust off the barbecue grills and get the beach chairs out. And for many traders and investors, it means another look at the old market saying, sell in May and go away. Anecdotally, some in the market believe that the summer months often produce rockier swings for stocks. The strategy has produced mixed results at best over the years. According to market analytics firm Kensho, over the last decade, the S&P 500 has actually posted a nearly 1% gain between Memorial Day and Labor Day. It's been positive 60% of the time. But over the last 20 years, performance has been just about flat, and it's positive 55% of the time. This year, some experts think that there are reasons to stay invested in the stock market.
Remember, we had an unusually cold winter across the East Coast and several factors which temporarily depressed economic growth in the first 3 months of the year. As we head into the summer months, we're actually expecting economic growth to rebound. You're seeing a lot of pent-up demand. All of this spending wasn't necessarily canceled, it was simply delayed. And as you start to see economic growth rebounding in the second quarter and into the third quarter, I think you want to be exposed, you want to be in the markets in May rather than cut back on your positions.
Of course, for all the positive factors, there are risks as well, and a number of them could take stocks down from their near record levels, which provides another reason to be more cautious.
Clearly, there are things such as the Greece situation that will cause anxiety, especially in Europe with the European markets up very strong. If the Fed were to take action this summer, I think it's been well telegraphed, but again, it will create some anxiety. And then the reality of the summer is just less volume creates more volatility as traders take parts of August off.
For some, a summer vacation from worrying about their portfolios may provide peace of mind. For others, it amounts to timing the market and being an active trader. Regardless, it may be a good time to either chat with a trusted financial advisor or take a closer look at just the type of investor you really are. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Dominic Chu.
Let's turn now to our two market pros for their views about the summer and your investments. Jack McIntyre, fixed income portfolio manager with Brandywine Global, and Jeff Korzenik, chief investment strategist at Fifth Third Bank. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Jack, let me begin by asking you about bonds and interest rates. It appears that we're not going to get any interest rate hikes until later in the year, but already yields on the 10-year Treasury security have gone up quite a bit over the past couple of months. Do you think that rise is coming closer to an end and has taken bonds to a point where they might be attractive again?
Yeah, I can talk my book because we have actually recently added some Treasury bonds to our portfolios for that same rationale. I think Treasury yields have gotten ahead of the underlying economy. There's an expectation that the economy is going to shrug off Q1, rebound Q2 into Q3, and I'm not sure it's going to be as strong a rebound as what the market and certainly what Treasury markets are discounting. So this is not a home run trade, but I do think Treasuries offer a little bit of value in here.
Jeff, what about the equity market? What's going to be the main driver? Because, Jack kind of outlined what's going to affect the bond market, but that makes it a more complicated environment, does it not, for the equity side of things?
It does and it doesn't. I think we are back to that old environment where a lot of growth can be bad for the bond market, but is good for the stock market, and weaker but still positive growth still works for stocks and then would also work for bonds. So in that kind of environment, I think the stock market actually has a pretty good summer ahead.
How about, let's go back to you, Jack, and talk about corners of the bond market that still feel a little risky to you, and what, bonds have been kind of a layup for a lot of the last 30 years, basically. And now it seems like the environment may be changing just a bit. How do you position your portfolio in light of what you see going into the future?
Okay, so a couple of quick points. So you're right, it's been a good environment for bonds over the last decades. We've had a decade that is kind of sort of a secular deflation, disinflationary environment. I'm not sure that's changing from that standpoint. So we're global bond managers. We like to avoid bonds that just don't have enough inflation expectations getting priced into those. So that kind of takes me to core Europe. German bonds, French oats, Europe, Eurozone in particular, actually has a tailwind in terms of some things that are positively influencing their growth. Maybe Draghi is going to be successful in sort of breaking the back of deflation in the Eurozone. So we are avoiding those bond markets.
Jeff, you said that the stock market may be setting up for a pretty decent summer. Where would you put capital to work?
Right now, if you look at our portfolios, we're overweight in healthcare, we're overweight in consumer discretionary, and we're more neutral, slightly underweight in the other sectors. So that's where we're seeing the opportunity, and also financials, I should add. We think is a very good time to be there, and that's a play for either a steepening yield curve or Fed rate hikes. We think benefits particularly banks and would be beneficial, and we'll see that this summer.
Jack, are you at all concerned that interest rates in the United States, which may well start to go up later this year or into 2016, are they going to derail the bond market, derail bond fund share prices, or will the increases be relatively gradual and relatively minor?
Yeah, and I'm in the latter point, because everybody kind of talks about, hey, when is the Fed going to do this sort of what we call liftoff? I think the more important question is, what is the pace of rate hikes going to look like? I think they're going to err on the side of going slow. And one thing I really want to kind of drive home to your viewers is that just don't focus on what the Fed is doing. We're in an environment where global monetary policy is becoming even more stimulative. Look to what China is doing. Yeah, the Fed is going to try and nudge rates higher, but the backdrop for monetary stimulus globally is still going to be extremely accommodative.
Right. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We appreciate your help. Jack McIntyre with Brandywine Global and Jeff Korzenik with Fifth Third Bank.
Thank you.
And now to the economy and the unemployment rate, which is still in the double digits for teens. Summer jobs aren't as plentiful as they once were, and that can have long-term consequences for young people trying to break into the working world. Mary Thompson has more on a program aimed at getting high school students on the right employment track. She's at Verizon's Operations Center in Basking Ridge, New Jersey.
What types of data sets have we been studying?
Before shadowing workers at Ernst & Young, cartoons shaped 17-year-old Shazeb Rizvi's view of white-collar work.
You see people working in cubicles, and they're wearing a white shirt, a black tie, and they look stressed out about work.
Instead, at the accounting firm, Rizvi saw engaged and enthusiastic workers, changing his mind about the kind of job he wants.
A job in the corporate world, a nice paying job with friendly people, a job you like.
Rizvi is a junior at Brooklyn's James Madison High. He's part of a program designed by the National Academy Foundation, or NAF, a public-private partnership connecting businesses and public schools. NAF President J.D. Hoy says the program's aim is to show students how classrooms connect to a working world the teens may not know exist. It's done through special lessons, shadowing sessions, and internships.
For us, it is really the ultimate experience that makes education make sense.
This summer, some of the more than 50 NAF interns will work here at the Verizon's Operations Center, applying what they learned in math and science classes to some of these products. They'll test a phone's durability in the company's tumbler and monitor the network's quality in its audio booth. Experiences Verizon's Nikki Palmer hopes may turn them on to a future in a field that's desperately in need of talent.
We can get students at the age where, they're still thinking, well, maybe I want to be an engineer, or maybe I don't.
And even if they learn they don't want to be an engineer, the teens get the critical skills a first job provides.
I learned time management skills. I learned to be open with people.
James Madison senior Michael Kreitzer learned this at Verizon last summer, where he also managed inventory on Excel files he created. Lessons professor Alicia Modestino says translate into lifelong benefits for any teen who lands a summer job.
We've actually seen some surveys that have shown that teens who don't have those soft skills or haven't been used to having good work habits typically have a more difficult time getting a job later on.
Putting teens to work, one way to better our workforce. From Basking Ridge, New Jersey, I'm Mary Thompson for Nightly Business Report.
Hiring our heroes. That's what many companies and organizations are doing to help the men and women who've served this country transition from the battlefield back to the workplace. Hampton Pearson has more on this Memorial Day.
This is my first search right here.
Robert Lee Jr.'s 24-year Navy career ends in 2 months. He's about to become a civilian, and he's looking for a job.
I'm just throwing some feelers out to try to find out what's out there and see what may be a good fit for me.
He's among the estimated 250,000 service members leaving the military each year, a trend the Defense Department says will continue for the next 5 years. Middle-aged vets in particular, many of whom fought wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, are coming home and struggling to match their military skills to the civilian workplace.
If you look around this room, that competition is stiff. I mean, everyone here is looking for a job, and we're kind of stacked up against one another.
At this Baltimore Tech Expo, dominated by defense industry and high-tech employers looking to fill hundreds of good-paying jobs, Bruce Benedict helped veterans seeking jobs maneuver in the civilian battlefield.
Most of the times when a recruiter asks them, what do you want to do? What job are you applying for? The answer from the vet's perspective is, I can do anything you want, which is what was a good answer in the service. But in the civilian workforce, it's not that good. You have to kind of focus your career.
Business and government efforts to boost veteran hiring are making progress, bringing the unemployment rate for the more than 3 million post-9/11 veterans down from a 12.1% high in 2011 to 7.2% last year. Walmart is among the major corporations stepping up its veterans hiring efforts. More than 90,000 vets have been hired in the last 2 years. This week, the nation's largest retailer pledged to hire 250,000 more veterans in the next 5 years.
We want these folks that are essentially a part of what we argue is the largest talent-rich, diverse pool in the world that we call the military community constituencies to join our team and make us better.
Memorial Day has always been a time to honor the sacrifice of all those who have served. Now there's a new mission, helping the next generation of veterans find a place in the civilian economy. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Hampton Pearson in Washington.
Coming up, will prices at the pump stay low for your summer getaway? That's ahead. But first, some of today's business leaders share their wisdom with the leaders of tomorrow.
We believe that a company that has values and acts on them can really change the world. And an individual can too. That can be you. That must be you.
You want to have meaning in your work. You want to work for companies that value all stakeholders, not just shareholders concerned with earnings per share, but every employee, every customer, every part of our community, and even our environment. All of these things are the stakeholders that are critical to the success of business.
The summer travel season starting out with a bang. Experts predict this could be one of the busiest summers ever for drivers and flyers. Phil LeBeau has more.
Relaxing in the sun may be your goal this summer, but before that happens, be prepared for the headaches that come with packed highways and full flights.
We think that people should be prepared that they'll have a lot of company when they're out on the roads. Over some holidays we've seen in the past year or so, it's upwards of 10, 13, 14% of the entire U.S. population is on the move.
Increasingly, vacationers will be taking time off by taking off. The airline industry expects an all-time record of 222 million people to fly somewhere by the end of August. So a few more flights are being added to meet demand. But the vast majority of Americans will be in their car, driving to their vacation spots. While prices at the pump have rebounded in the last month and may trend higher this summer, the average right now is still well under $3 a gallon.
Gasoline prices being lower, a lot of people have bought new vehicles. They want to get out on the road.
The busier summer travel season is being driven by the healthy economy, low unemployment, and moderate gas prices. So for many Americans, it makes sense to spend more time and money getting away.
Yes, I am planning on traveling, and because I love to travel.
Probably spending more just to get out in Idaho and kind of see the backcountry.
So when you load your bags this summer, remember to pack lots of sunblock and plenty of patience for the crowds you'll deal with on the road. Phil LeBeau, Nightly Business Report, Chicago.
If you drove to your destination this weekend, you probably appreciated the few bucks you saved at the pump this year. Getting around by car is cheaper now, but will low gas prices hold for the summer months? Jackie DeAngelis takes a look.
The summer driving season is on, and AAA says that more than 37 million Americans will have hit the road this holiday weekend. While prices are a little less than $1 cheaper than they were last year at this time, they still have surged ahead of the holiday and are likely to climb all the way till July 4th.
Refineries have come out of their maintenance schedules. They're running full out, almost 95% of capacity. So I don't think, and the gasoline market is very well supplied at this time. So I don't think you'll see prices rise, say, 10 to 15 cents more than where they are right now, unless you see some major refinery problems going into the July 4th weekend.
The average price of gas is a helpful barometer, but keep in mind that certain states have seen more dramatic increases because of regional production problems and refinery issues. That's according to AAA. West Coast and Midwestern drivers, they felt more pain as a result. Also remember that part of what happens to gasoline comes from what happens to crude prices. Part of the jump at the pump has been from the rise that we've seen in crude oil prices over the last month or so.
I don't see crude oil trading above $70 for the summer because we are still a very well supplied market. So the consumer really shouldn't fret about that translating into higher gasoline prices.
But as always, there are wild cards. Changes to the crude supply-demand balance, geopolitical issues, and fluctuations in the dollar can flip the trend in an instant. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Jackie DeAngelis.
And one factor that has a big influence on oil price volatility is production in Saudi Arabia. And while the U.S. has surpassed that country as the world's biggest producer of oil, soon the Saudis will hold the top spot in another competition. Hadley Gamble takes us behind the scenes as developers race to build what's slated to be the world's tallest building in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Just north of Jeddah on the Red Sea, on the western edge of Saudi Arabia, the world's tallest building is under construction. Set to top 3,300 feet, Kingdom Tower will soar above the Saudi skyline, dwarfing its closest rival in Dubai and setting a new standard for the 21st century skyscraper. But building the tallest structure on the planet is just the first step. Billionaire Saudi businessman Prince Al-Walid bin Talal has bigger plans for the site, pouring $20 billion into the project to develop a multi-use economic city just minutes from downtown Jeddah. A city he hopes will lure foreign investors and create the jobs that Saudi Arabia needs.
Now, how involved is Prince Al-Walid? Because this is his brainchild, isn't it?
Well, he follows. I think he follows daily the news of the project by looking just on his iPhone.
How important was his vision to making this happen?
It will make the young Saudis very proud to live and work here.
On site, an international team of advisors, consultants, and engineers are using the tallest cranes in the world and the toughest cement on the planet to stabilize 170 floors of residential office and five-star hotel space.
I challenge anyone in this team to say that he's worked on something as massive as this before. We have collective experience here from all international consultants working on the projects. They've all worked at least 15 years experience in high-rise buildings. Yet we all sit on the meeting room. Never a dull moment. Everything is a challenge.
2 double-deck high-speed shuttle elevators, the fastest in the world, moving at 41 feet per second, will take you from top to bottom in a minute and a half max. And unlike its cousin in Dubai, Kingdom Tower must be built to withstand 3 separate weather systems. And that means erecting a series of support piles deep underground, 270 in total, fortified by the most dense mesh of steel ever built, 345 feet below its base.
You may not believe this, but while it looks like I'm on the base level of what will be Kingdom Tower, the tallest tower in the world, they actually had to drill 30 floors beneath me just to get the foundations.
The economic, social environment today is the perfect situation, perfect timing to develop a project with this magnitude.
Set for completion sometime in 2018, Kingdom Tower could hold as many as 3,500 people. For Nightly Business Report in Saudi Arabia, I'm Hadley Gamble.
Up next, will the price of fall-off-the-bone ribs at your summer barbecue make you fall off your chair? Jane Wells has the cost of your weekend cookout. But first, more commencement remarks from top business leaders.
Stay humble and optimistic. In solving problems, I learned a long time ago that no job is beneath me. In 1989, I was leading our appliance service business. We had a catastrophic failure of our refrigerators and were required to replace 3 million compressors. Despite my lofty title, I learned how to fix compressors. I would go out into people's homes to fix compressors so that I understood the problem. There is no better way to be humbled than for a math major to sit on someone's kitchen floor while the ice cream melts.
So I'm asked one question most often. Why didn't you sell your business? It doesn't even make money. It's a fad. You could be on a boat right now. Everybody loves boats. What is wrong with you? And I'm now convinced that the fastest way to figure out if you're doing something that is truly important to you is to find someone who will offer you a bunch of money to part with it.
Here's what to watch tomorrow. Durable goods orders, an important economic indicator, is set for release. New home sales will also be closely watched. And to top off all that economic data, consumer confidence. That's what's on the agenda for Tuesday.
Memorial Day weekend, also the official start of summer blockbuster season. It's usually the most profitable time of the year for movie studios. Billions expected in ticket sales. Julia Boorstin takes a look at what hits Hollywood is betting on.
They already know what scares you.
With Poltergeist debuting at the box office this holiday weekend, a new take on the 80s horror franchise, and Warner Brothers reviving Mad Max last weekend, old brands are new again. Universal's readying Jurassic World out June 12th, 14 years after Jurassic Park 3. And Paramount is bringing Arnold Schwarzenegger back for Terminator Genesis, 6 years after the last one.
So you get these long gaps and big characters kind of making it back to the big screen.
Objection sustained. A slew of other sequels, from Ted 2 to Mission Impossible Rogue to animated Minions, are in the works. Plus familiar names such as TV show Entourage coming to the big screen, and Pixar's first film since 2013, Inside Out.
Can I say that curse word now?
The box office is on track for a record summer. It could gross as much as $5 billion between May 1st and Labor Day, says Rentrack analyst Paul Dergarabedian. And that's just here in the U.S. Hollywood is increasingly looking to sequels and established brands since they tend to perform better overseas. International box office growth is revving up, driven by new markets such as China. Another audience studios are paying more attention to is women, as Pitch Perfect 2's record-breaking opening weekend illustrates their buying power.
I think this is an unusual number of movies that we've seen specifically chasing the female demo that are big budgets, that are going to get big marketing dollars. Again, I think the studios have figured out that women go to the movies too.
I got a little treat for y'all tonight. Coming up, a slew of films targeting women, including Magic Mike XXL and two that put female comedians front and center. Trainwreck, starring comedian Amy Schumer, and Spy with Melissa McCarthy. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Julia Boorstin in Los Angeles.
Oops. Finally tonight, if you plan on having lots of barbecues this summer, indigestion isn't the only thing you're going to be suffering from. Be prepared for sticker shock, too. Jane Wells explains.
Holy cow! Have you noticed beef prices? Memorial Day kicks off the summer barbecue season, and for many who've suffered through a harsh winter, grilling is good.
Yeah, beef.
But this holiday, you may find yourself eating more bun than burger. Beef prices remain high.
In the last month, what have you seen with prices?
It's skyrocketing. I mean, it's just like there's no end to it.
A America's cattle ranchers are still replenishing their herds after cutting back during droughts in Texas and the Midwest. Ground beef prices are up 14% in a year, steak prices up nearly 20%.
This is like the top quality as far as meat goes.
At Handy's Market in Burbank, California, the store competes by keeping margins as thin as a butcher's blade.
Every week we have to reevaluate our prices. We have to do cutting tests to make sure that we're right in line.
But consumers may not just have a beef with beef. Avian flu is causing chicken prices to fly high. While breast meat prices are relatively flat, wings are up 33%.
I think it's just pretty much going along with what the economy is right now.
Which is why John Hinsey is planning on pork this Memorial Day. Pork prices are leaner after the hog industry bounced back from its own virus last year. So when will beef prices become more affordable?
I think they're going to stabilize right now. I mean, they can't seem like go much higher because what's going to happen is people are going to, like gasoline, when gasoline goes way up, people quit driving so much, and then you have too much, and then the prices start coming down and stuff. So,
but they don't go all the way down.
No, they'll never go back down.
But maybe next Memorial Day, you can have more burger in your bun. For Nightly Business Report, Jane Wells, Los Angeles.
And that does it. Thanks for watching this special edition of Nightly Business Report. I'm Sue Herrera.
And put one on the grill for both of us, will you? We'll be right over. I'm Tyler Mathisen. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend, and we'll see you here tomorrow.